I think that the animosity between India and China was our problem. It's our problem. But they took advantage of it. And we need to take responsibility. I mean, India and Pakistan, for God's sake, how long is that going to continue? Well, that's a great question. And the answer is at many levels. The first thing is that Asia, unlike the other continents, is, as you say, massive and very difficult to, for unity to be talked about casually. I mean, India itself is like the European Union. The Indian Union is like the European Union. There are, about, I don't know, 300 languages in India that are pretty distinct. There are 5 distinct language families in India. India itself is a multinational state. So there are enormous cultural, there are social, religious differences across Asia, but that's not the main issue. I think there are 2 ways in which you can think about Asianism or Asian unity. One is just simply the fact that we need to have a kind of political forum. The African Union, for instance, in Addis Ababa, is a political forum. It's a place for African countries to raise mutual concerns and so on. There is no platform for Asia. Asian countries don't have a Asian platform to raise political concerns. Issues like border disputes. So we don't have that. Just merely a political forum. In terms of economic and trade relations, here as well, India didn't join RCEP for all kinds of reasons. But RCEP, the earlier idea of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, all of these are actually trade-led agreements. But I'm not talking about a trade-led agreement, an agreement to create, as it were, complementarities and so on, to increase levels of scale, returns of investment on scale, and so on. Not from that perspective. You need an economic platform where conversations can take place about mutual economic development. This is different from a free trade agreement. So, for instance, it would be interesting to have a kind of Asian union where, let's say, Malaysia could come to the table and say, look, we are planning our economy in our 5-year projection. We are going to assume that we are going to run into a 12% shortfall in energy. Can anybody give us advice? Somebody comes in and says, well, yeah, I think we can forecast that we'll be able to assist you, or XYZ. A place where people can talk about their economic development pathways and so on. You see, the Asian Development Bank could have played that role, but it became essentially a bank. It's not a platform for development conversations. So that's what I mean, a platform for political and security conversations and a platform for economic conversations. This just does not exist in Asia. Some of this is because our continent is so peculiar. One of the largest territorial countries, Russia, doesn't really see itself as an Asian country. It sees itself still as a European country. Our relationship with Australia is bizarre. Is Australia really a continent? Or, for God's sake, shouldn't it just be part of Asia? Like for these groupings, and so on. I mean, it's a very strange continent. Do you think of the Middle East as part of Asia? Iran, Lebanon, Syria, these are all technically Asian countries. The largest part of Turkey is in Asia, but I think even Ankara, which is in Asia, sees itself as part of Europe. So there are some issues that, may be a problem, but I don't think these are really a problem. So Asia for me really is this Asian unity is a platform for conversation and dialogue at an intergovernmental level, but perhaps also a people to people level at a different point of view. I think it's a long problem. It's all kinds of things. It's our own failures that we didn't take advantage of. Let's say when India and China in 1954 came together and agreed to the five principles of peaceful coexistence, the so-called Panchsheel Agreement of 1954. Those five principles are extraordinary, and I want young people to go and read them. They're extraordinary. That Panchsheel agreement from 1954 could have been the basis for a new kind of Asian unity. And I think that, again, I think that the animosity between India and China was our problem. It's our problem. But they took advantage of it. And we need to take responsibility. I mean, India and Pakistan, for God's sake, how long is that going to continue? Why can't we imagine, again, a kind of condominium relationship in all the so-called disputed territories? Develop them jointly, as Professor Zhang Weiwei said. I mean, the reason the Shanghai Cooperative Organization was created, which is again the possibility of an Asian platform, was because we were all concerned about the Taliban. That was the reason the SCO was first created in 2001. The immediate issue was we were all concerned about the Taliban and its destabilization of Central Asia. That's why everybody joined. Even countries that didn't necessarily agree with each other on many other things, but they had a common worry. Afghanistan is going to continue to be a common worry for Asia. In fact, a kind of the SCO with Afghanistan as the principal issue could be the process to create closer Asian cooperation. I mean, we need to see not only Afghanistan, I should say, but right now with the sanctions against Russia, Tajikistan, Kyrgyz Republic, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan are being greatly, greatly hurt. I did a series of reports on Kyrgyz Republic, Uzbekistan, and so on. They are going to struggle because they rely on the Russian economy, and they rely on Russia to export out their energy that they export. And with sanctions on Russia, the sanctions are basically hitting the five Central Asian republics. Where is Asia to come to their aid? I think this kind of thing could be a place of unity. Can we unite around our concern over Afghanistan again? That's probably a better way to go than to say, let's have a conference about the border. That won't advance anything. But we have common worries. And I think common worries create common feeling.